Once again, hello. Thanks for watching. Uh, I'm Bryan,
And I'm Bryan.
and this is Bryan versus Bryan, the Duke Fest. One name, uh, one movie this time. Two very different opinions. So it's going to be episode 8, and we're doing the namesake of episode 8. This is Star Wars, episode 8, The Last Jedi. We're going to go in on it. Uh, Bryan's favorite Star Wars. My least favorite numbered Star Wars. I only think there's one Star Wars worse than this, and it's not numbered. So it doesn't get the worst Star Wars movie accolade. I'm sorry.
Which one's that?
I think Solo is worse than this.
I haven't seen Solo.
I think Solo was trash.
Mm.
I just hated it. It just ruined all the story arc of Han Solo. You can't make him a hero before he gets made into a hero. It makes no damn sense. He's a scoundrel. And there's some other things. The Millennium Falcon is like completely white and like shiny new, and then in like 5-10 years it's supposed to be just what it is. I was like, what? How did it go? Like, why didn't you just have it be dirty? It makes no sense. Anyways, Solo sucks. There's some cool parts, like who the heck is that guy that plays Lando in it?
Donald Glover.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I liked him. I didn't like the main guy that cast as Solo. It's set so close in the universe, like so soon before 4. I don't see that character becoming like Harrison Ford on Solo.
Yeah, even
huh?
I was gonna say even like so I haven't seen it, so I don't. I mean, I hear it's not very good. I think a lot of people echo your opinion, but even just as a visual thing, like I've seen the trailers, I've seen screenshots, and I'm like, why the fuck is this movie so dark? Like color wise, like everything's desaturated and dark. I'm like, I can barely even see the actors. Like, why
Yeah,
does this movie look like that?
I mean it's got some funny moments. It's just not a very good Star Wars movie,
Hmm.
and they should just got a nobody that could you could invest in and not know, and then in your mind could become that character. But I've seen this guy around, and yeah, not impressed.
Hmm.
Anyways, I guess we'll go through episode 8. Got it playing in the background here. Through try to go chronologically. I'm sure being your favorite movie, you'll remember what's chronological more than I will. So correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
So we'll
I'll
start.
try.
Yeah, we'll start with the dreadnought scene. They're taking out the big old ship. So visually, I mean, I got no problem with any Disney Star Wars visually. They throw millions and millions of dollars into these movies. They look amazing. Like, oh, you never seen these ships and everything, explosions, lasers, lightsabers look so cool. So that's not an issue. Of course, Star Wars movie, even the one in the 70s where they're using little fucking plastic props, they look good. So that's not an issue. Never has been with Star Wars. Um, the first scene starts pretty good. I thought it was pretty cool. What I didn't like about it was, and I'm a nitpicker, man. I'm a super Star Wars fan. So when I start seeing the weird shit in the universe, it doesn't quite add up. Is when it starts to not work for me. Like the bombers, first of all, ticked me as weird as fuck. You got this bomber that's like super long, right? And it holds all the bombs. They drop them. Visually, that's a really cool thing. You can get the camera in there and it pans down and all the bombs drop. But as a spaceship, it doesn't make any fucking sense. Why would it go slow as fuck? Because it's got a bunch of bombs. Bro, it's space. This shit ain't heavy. There is no weight. And they've showed bombers in the past and they're not fucking moving like a snail. Like, yeah, the Y-Wing, the old bomber, it would go slower than an X-Wing, but it ain't fucking snail's pace. Like these guys, fucking TIE fighters are circling around. Bomber sitting there, and it's going so slow. Eventually, they just have to just crash the fucking bomber into it. Fuck it. We're out of bombs. I just didn't like the bomber scene. I just think it was made specifically for a visual. It did look pretty cool, and it kind of harkened back to like a World War II type
Yeah,
bomber and like fighter jet movies, but it just seemed like it was there to be there. Oh yeah, and they celebrate. Like Poe is celebrating the whole thing. Fucking killed everybody. Everyone died. Right?
they
Did
took a
anyone make
but
it out of there?
they took a dreadnought out though, which is like the First Order's biggest fucking ship. So yes, they did sacrifice, but they also took down a dreadnought. So,
Yeah, but didn't
but
it?
he celebrates, but his superiors do not, which gets him
Yeah,
demoted.
didn't Leia say, yeah, they got like fucking 10 more dreadnoughts.
Yeah,
One, it don't matter. Yeah, this resistance group is so weird because it's like fucking it's like 60 of them. It's like you can't do shit. Like really, 60 of you? But yeah, that was my problems with the beginning. Not many. I mean, the
yeah.
beginning, all right, it's pretty good.
I mean, I liked it. Yeah, I think the it going slow didn't really bother me. I guess I didn't really think about it. But what I really like about the scene is the pilot who becomes the star of the movie for like 5 minutes, and I fucking love that because in the past, like Porkins, we all have Porkins and all the other pilots in the original, but they're not. They don't really. They're just in a cockpit and they say a word and then they die and then that's it. Where in this movie, you actually see a sacrifice and you see a character who has motivations and who's trying to do good. And like, I don't know, I thought that was kind of a cool new iteration that we haven't seen in Star Wars yet.
Which pilot was that? Was that one of the
It's
bomber
the one, it's
pilots?
the woman who's trying to get the bombs out in time and she
Oh
falls
yeah, yeah, yeah.
down and has to grab the
The
remote.
what's
And
the girl's sister?
yeah, Rose's sister.
Yeah, Rose's sister. Okay.
So I love that. I thought that was a cool little touch we haven't seen in Star Wars.
Yeah, they just put that in so Rose's yin yang necklace made sense.
Fair enough.
Her friendship bracelet.
Cool nonetheless, in my opinion.
My sister fucking died for you. Anyways, okay. What happens next scene? Is it finally getting to the lightsaber? Because this is another issue I think I kind of had we to discuss before we started filming that we waited so long to see the conclusion of episode 7 and see Luke, and then they show Luke. He doesn't even say a fucking word. And then they start 8. I think if JJ would have started 8, he would have started with that scene.
Mm-hmm.
If it would have been one director throughout the 3. But obviously, we got to get that out of the way that JJ did the first one, and it was always planned to have 3 different directors. And Rian Johnson apparently was given JJ's script for 8 and used absolutely none of it, and was given complete creative control. And the backlash was so huge that they took the 3rd movie away from the 3rd director. That was not completely why. I think they had some troubles with him too. It was the Jurassic World guy, wasn't it?
Yeah, Colin Trevorrow.
Yeah.
Which he wrote a script. I saw it online. It looked pretty cool. I would have rather seen his Star Wars movie than Rise of Skywalker, but I guess we
Yeah.
never will.
Rise of Skywalker, I think, sucked because this movie sucked so hard. Like this movie
Yeah.
completely ruined every story thread you had any possibility of going with to try and subvert expectations. But yeah, next they go to Luke. You hand the lightsaber, and you finally get to see what he's gonna do. He had that look in episode 7, dude. I was so pumped. I haven't seen this bad boy in so long. And then he fucking throws it over his shoulder in a very Han move. That's not a Luke move. That's a Han move right there. To try and get some play it for laughs. Absolutely hated that. Yeah, hated it. But it's kind of hard. That's just a small scene, but I guess I got to go into the story arc of Luke in this movie, which I also hated. Luke, ever since he lost his what was it, Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, he's always been selfless. It's been about helping his friends, helping everyone in the galaxy, regardless of what he wanted or needed. He was just selfless from that point on. He was a little selfish before that. He was like, oh, I can't leave. I can't help you. But then once he realized he has nothing left, he's like, okay, this is pretty important. And so they just make him this asshole hermit who doesn't want to train her, doesn't want to save the galaxy. And his reasoning for it is really shallow and stupid. Like, oh my God, I trained him and now he's bad. I can't do this. It's like, well, you trained him, bro. I think Luke would feel a burden of personal responsibility to stop him. There's only like a couple Jedi left, and now the only one actively practicing is evil. It's like, dude, you need to stop him. You trained him, and he's a pussy. He's not a fucking. You're Luke Skywalker. It's like he was so powerful. He wasn't that powerful at all. Are you kidding me? He pulled down a fucking wooden hut. oh my God, he's so powerful. And so like, dude, he could have stopped him. He should have stopped him. I don't believe in the motivation for not wanting to go after him. Maybe you could explain him going away for a while and just being super depressed about it. But fucking in this timeline, it's like 20 years or something. He's been away. It's ridiculous. What are your thoughts on his motivations and his character?
I thought it was yeah, I guess I strongly disagree. I thought it was way more interesting that he's a cranky old hermit because if he just would have been some badass fucking, hey, I'm Luke Skywalker, 20 years older, and I'm fucking, I can pull, dreadnoughts out of the sky. And I think a lot of people wanted him to be some sort of Super Saiyan master Jedi, and I think it's far more interesting that he's not. And I also think that it parallels, you were saying one of the negative things about The Last Jedi is that it subverts expectations, but I actually think that's a good thing, not a bad thing. But
I think it's a bad thing because it subverts expectations just to subvert expectations, not with any good story notes, not with any good story threads that move forward or connect to the original movie. It just does it to do it. And that's why it's a problem. I have no problem with doing that if you come up with some good stuff and it ties into 9 or it tied into 7. But this is pretty much a standalone movie at this point because of everything they did.
yeah, but I mean, let's go back to the saber being tossed. I actually agree with you. I actually don't love that scene either. I think it's just a stupid gag that doesn't really work for me. But I did hear an interesting thing that kind of moved the needle towards liking it, but not really. Like I still have problems with it. But I did find um, an explanation to why he does that, sort of. So when you see Luke, he's wearing his white robe and his cloak or whatever. Well, after that scene, it shows him folding up his clothes, his robe, and like putting
Mm-hmm.
it away. And then later on in the movie, he puts it back on to destroy the Jedi tree temple thing or whatever. So I think what it was setting up was that he was actually on his way to do that earlier in the film when Rey shows up and says, "Here's a lightsaber," and so he's already had his mindset. He's gonna burn this fucking tree down. He's done with the Force. I'm done with all this shit. And she shows up, and he's like, "Fuck this!" And because he's already over it. So I didn't catch that the first time. I thought that again, it slightly moves the needle, but
Do you think he's a little
I still have
mad
an
at the
issue.
Force? Do you think he's a little mad like at the Force for sending him this message
Hmm.
to not burn the tree?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah,
that helps a little bit,
it
but
helps a
yeah,
little bit, but yeah, I still have an issue with it. I think it's a stupid gag, but what I also think that it does, and agree or disagree, but this movie has a lot of parallels with Empire, and it's hard for us to kind of like get in the mindset of a viewer in 1980 from seeing A New Hope because Empire is drastically different from A New Hope. But one of the things that subverts expectations in that movie is that Obi-Wan tells Luke, "Hey, you need to go to the Dagobah system. You got to go meet this Yoda guy who's this all-powerful Jedi who's trained me, and you're gonna train with this fucking awesome dude." And then he gets there, and there's this little fucking puppet guy eating his food and being all weird. And it turns out he's the Jedi. And it's like you don't expect it. You don't expect an old hermit thing. You're expecting a fucking master Jedi. So in the same way that Empire does that, they kind of do that to Luke. We're expecting Luke to be this all powerful Jedi because he's been on this island, but instead he's a goofy, silly, cranky old man. So I think there's a little bit of parallel there. I think that's what he was trying to do, but
I get
I
it,
could be wrong.
but
There it is. Here we go.
yeah, there's that Terminator hand. I think it's so cool to have the exposed robot hand though.
Yeah.
They finally did that. I'm gonna try to turn off this light strip and maybe it'll take some glare off of this TV. Eh, whatever, works. All right. So yeah, I don't care about subversion. That's cool, but I need story to go with it. There needs to be a reason to push the subversion. I think he just did it to do it. I think he's just I don't know. But every cool cue in 7, like Snoke, we want to find out who he is. He's apparently the new Emperor type character. And I like that idea. Don't bring the Emperor back like they did in 9. I think JJ was kind of forced in all the story bits he put into 9 because 8 was so different and not at all what he thought it was going to be. And so I would have liked Snoke. I would have liked some backstory. I think he's the real interesting villain, not Kylo Ren. I think Kylo Ren is kind of a pussy. And then in this movie, all of a sudden, Rey's so into like trying to turn him. Oh, there's good in him. How the fuck do you know? He has shown you nothing to say that there's good in him. You watched him murder his father and your father figure, even though she knew him for minutes. It's kind of, I love Han. It's like, come on, there's no story building. And with Empire, all those subversions, like the little Yoda, he's got awesome story. You find out he was the trainer of Obi-Wan. There's a reason for him to be there. You find out later that he's like the most powerful Jedi in 8, and like is lots of cool story threads. And that's what Star Wars is these awesome stories across 3 movies, which these movies completely failed in. Like George Lucas, like him or love it, or like it or hate it, the prequels had a plan, and he had a roadmap and a story, and it was cool because there is a cool arc to see Anakin and Obi-Wan, and even the old trilogy is a really good arc. And it's all about this lore building and like knowing the heritage and who trained who, and this is this and this is this, and it goes across 3 movies, and it makes them really cool to watch, and you'll find little things with more viewings. And that's, I think, essentially what makes Star Wars so great is all the huge lore, because everyone thought back in the 70s, right, it's going to be that one movie, Star Wars. It wasn't even really referred to as A New Hope. But then they brought in Empire Strikes Back, and that started building all this lore. And Lucas already knew about lore because he started with the crawl, and you start to get lore just in the crawl. He's like, I don't even have enough film to tell you all the shit I want to tell you. Here's some of it written down. And, he had all these stories in his head and written down. He didn't know exactly where 8 or where 5 and 6 were going, but he had a plan. Like, okay, if I get to make more movies, this is what's going to happen. This is who Luke is. This is who his father is. And then he started writing those prequel kind of drafts to kind of understand where Vader came from. So the subversion has to come with some awesome story, and I don't think it did at all. I think this is just a filler movie. I mean, being the worst Star Wars numbered film doesn't make it super bad to me. Don't get me wrong. I could still watch this. It's not unwatchable. It's a pretty entertaining flick, but I just think it's not a very good Star Wars movie. And if there's so you can comment on that, and then you can bring us into another point in the film if you like.
I'm trying to think of what I want to. Well, here, let me. So those are kind of your overall thoughts, more or less, right? So yeah, I disagree respectfully, but okay. So what I love about this movie is that, well, I love the themes, which are finding your place in the universe when you come from nothing, and I think that echoes New Hope, because in the first one, Luke is a nobody. He's a fucking farm boy, a whiny farm boy who needs to find who pines to be something better than what he is, and he goes on an adventure, right? So I think that this movie echoes that with Rey's lineage. I like the theme of forgetting the past and moving forward, and not letting the past dictate your future. I like that a lot because there's a big theme in this movie about forgetting the past. So I like the themes of the movie. I think it's the most beautifully shot Star Wars film. There's a lot of stuff that's happening in this movie just visually that you just don't get in other Star Wars films. There's one shot in particular in the throne room that just, fuck, man, so good. Like I was telling Sarah earlier, like I wish we could jump in a time machine and go back and see this movie again opening night, because there's one shot in this film in the throne room where everyone just lost their fucking shit, and it was an awesome experience. So yeah, I think visually it's the best shot, best looking Star Wars film. I like some of the aspects they added to it. Like I like the Force communicating thing that we haven't really seen before. It was kind of touched on in Return of the Jedi when Leia kind of can feel Luke and the Death Star. But this movie kind of takes it a step further, and astral projection is introduced, which I thought was a really cool touch. I like when visually seeing Kylo and Rey have conversations, even though they're, away. And And yes, I do. I disagree about the subversion of expectations being a negative. I think it's actually a good thing, because it is surprising. It's we had all these expectations going into the film. We all had wants, and this movie says no. We're going to give you something new and different, and we're not going to play on nostalgia, and we're not going to hand feed you shit that you want. We're going to do something different that makes sense in the story and with the characters, in my opinion. Um, let's see. Do you want to touch on any of the themes or Rey's lineage and Snoke's
First of all,
death? We can talk about Snoke's death.
the themes coming from nothing. That's Luke didn't come from nothing. He had a very important lineage. Very important. He thought he came from nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Luke is very important. Possibly, probably the chosen one.
Right, but if you look at A New Hope as a standalone, like again, we have to go in a mindset that Empire and Return isn't out yet, right? That movie at its core is about a person who is a nobody on a farm who wants to become trying to find his place in the universe and wanted to be a part of something bigger than what he is. And then the sequels explore his lineage and make him special. And I think that's at the core, that's what Last Jedi is trying to say, is get back to that, which is like, hey, you don't like being special shouldn't be reserved for a family line. Like you can be special without, you know,
Yeah,
your heritage or whatever.
sure. But then being a Jedi should be reserved for people who fucking trained. Like this fucking Rey just fucking fights people with lightsabers without never touching one in her life. Fucking uses the Force, and then so to say that she's nobody, or this film tries to, but they radcon that in the next film.
Yeah, which is stupid, but
And some have said that Kylo knew that the whole time, and that he was just trying to play on Daisy to get her to join him because he knew who her parents were, but he wanted her to think they were nobody.
Sure,
so that
sure.
Her only way to become somebody was to make a name for herself with him. I think makes some sense. I like that. Maybe it's just a way to try and explain this, but whatever. So where was I going with that? Damn it.
Well, I want to add one more point. Maybe you can try and conjure up what you were. But what I also like about, I think Ryan Johnson in an interview, he talks about Empire and specifically like the lineage thing. And he was saying that in Empire, Luke hearing that Vader is his father is the worst possible thing that Luke could hear, and us as an audience, because for Luke, he's on this revenge quest to fucking take Vader down because he killed his dad, and he hears that he's his father. That's the worst thing that he could hear, right? And it's also, again, shitty for us to hear because now that complicates us as viewers because this has been the bad villain through the first two movies, and now it's more complicated, right? And in the same way, this movie does the same thing, where Rey's whole want in these movies is that I think she even says it in a line of dialogue. I want someone to show me my place in all of this. I don't know where I fit in this story, right? So the worst thing that she could hear is, you don't still fit in. You're fucking nobody. If he would have said, hey, you know who your family is, it's Skywalker, she would have been like, cool, now I know how I fit in. I'm Luke's daughter. Or, hey, you're a Solo. She'd be like, oh, now I know how I fit in. I'm a Solo, right? That would have been the easy answer. But the hard answer for us and for her is that she's a nobody. And I think that that's very interesting and cool. In my opinion, I don't know.
That's fine. I don't think it's very interesting. I think it completely negates, like I said, all of a sudden she's just super Force sensitive and knows all this stuff. Like, it's like, come on, there's got to be some kind of divine intervention. She's got to be a Skywalker or something.
Well, what do you... Dude, Attack of the Clones, there's like fucking 100 Jedi in a stadium. Do you think they're all Skywalkers? Some of these people came from nothing. You know, it's not one big line.
They all had training. They didn't just pick up that saber. They walked in that stadium. Give me a fucking saber, bro.
Well, hold on. I have a defense for that. I have a small defense for that. You may not believe it, or you may not agree with it, but in Force Awakens, you see that Rey has been living on her own she's a fucking scavenger who has to fend for herself. So obviously, and you see her fight a group of people and save Finn with her staff. So it's not like she's planting flowers her whole life and then picks up a lightsaber and is good at it. Like she's had to defend herself, and
He had a bow staff once. We all pretended we're Donatello at one point. It doesn't make me a Jedi.
fair enough.
Anyways, yeah, uh, it's it's just Ryan Johnson is right. That is the worst thing Daisy could hear. That's the worst thing we could hear as an audience. For the story, it could work, but as an audience, you've been waiting and you want some continuity between 7 and 8. I just want some story threads to carry through. It's just like nothing carries through in this new trilogy. It's like all just a hodgepodge. They're all three almost standalone movies. You don't really need to know the backstory of any of these people to watch any movie. I mean, and you don't need to with original Star Wars, but that's what's cool is that you can, like, all the story goes through them, but they're all three good movies pretty much on their own. None of these movies, I think, are very good on their own. And then even together, I think they're somehow weaker when you put them together, because then you see how completely disorganized everything was. Like, how do you fucking make a new Star Wars trilogy and not know where you're going and what the story is going to be? How do you not plan it out first? Like, who the fuck at Disney thought that was a good idea? Like, no clue, man. You got to have especially when you're doing a trilogy movie. It's a trilogy. It's not like, oh, we got to do episode 8 now because it made money. It's a trilogy. So you got to have a really compelling story arc. You got to have some trials and tribulations for the hero character. And it's got to be redemption, and it's everything from a good story. And it just doesn't do it.
Yeah,
But
I actually agree with you. I think even though Last Jedi is my favorite movie, and I think it's far better than Force Awakens or Rise of Skywalker, but I agree with you that they should have had a plan. Like there should have been a plan for all three of these movies. Like JJ should have made Force Awakens and said, "Hey Ryan, you have creative control over Last Jedi, but I need you to plug these specific threads in because they're going to come in later." And then hey, Colin Trevorrow, you need to plug in these couple things, but you have creative freedom as long as you hit these points. But they didn't do that, and it's so bizarre. And on the second point, you were saying that there's no thread between them all, and it feels weird because it feels like two directors fighting about what they think Star Wars is. Because JJ comes out and says, "Hey, this is Force Awakens. This is what I think Star Wars is. Here's all the nostalgia. Here's the feeling of Star Wars." And then Ryan comes out and says, "No, like we should do something different, more like Empire, change things up, focus on character and this and that." And then JJ comes back and says, "No, motherfucker, like this is what it seems like a fight. These three movies are a fight between two different directors, and it's
and
very bizarre."
I think episode 7 is it's probably my favorite of the three.
Mm.
It's a good way to start off. I thought it's got a lot of nostalgia, but you introduce some new characters that seem very interesting. Like Finn is a stormtrooper, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Finn seems like a super interesting character until you start watching the next two movies, when they don't really do anything with him at all. Like, oh, he's a stormtrooper and he switched. Like, Finn's got a really cool arc in that first movie. Even Rey does. Poe is kind of uninteresting in every movie.
Yeah, he's just kind of there.
Yeah. But I thought it was a good way to start, to pump that nostalgia in there. And people like to talk shit about JJ. Like, oh, it's just a fucking retread of 4. Well, it kind of is, but Star Wars had been gone for how long? I think he was just trying to get it restarted again. And I think his episode 8 wouldn't have been what everyone thinks is just going to be a retread of 5. I think he was just starting that way to go a different way. You know what I mean? Just getting us pumped in. Now we're plugged in. Now he gets to take us on his journey. But we'll never see what that journey was. And then by the time he get to 9, where he did get to come back, I feel like he couldn't do anything he really wanted to in the beginning because everything had changed by Ryan. Snoke's gone. They tried to say Rey was nobody, but he still was able to radcon that. Yeah, it's just
which is a bummer. And I've heard the argument that JJ's at the poker table and he's got a bad hand with Rise of Skywalker, right? In terms of what Ryan did. And I've heard that argument, but my only pushback on that is that Colin Trevorrow wrote a script that continues Ryan Johnson's movie. Like, and that's why I wanted to see it, because it sounded far more interesting, and it played with the characters and everything that happened in Last Jedi. But I feel like Disney and company were worried about the backlash of Last Jedi, so they tried to fire Colin. We're not doing that movie. Oh god, we can't do that. We can't continue Last Jedi. We need to get JJ back and scramble this fucking mess of a movie together. But I do think that. So I don't think that. I mean, yeah, I guess he had a little bit of a bad hand, but Colin Trevorrow wrote this fucking great script. But or not great, but a script that continues The Last Jedi. But I do think that he had a bad hand with Carrie Fisher dying, because I think that Carrie Fisher was supposed to be a huge part in Rise of Skywalker. I think that she had to contribute into Kylo's arc, which is mommy problems. So yeah, I think he had a bad hand there.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about Leia. I forgot about that shit.
Mm.
That fucking stupid ass scene. Like, Leia should have died right there. I thought that would have been a great death for Leia. Unexpected death. Like, when it happened and I was in the theater, I was like, oh, fuck, she's dead, dude. They just killed Leia like that? That's dirty. It's like, damn, it blew up and gets sucked out into space. That would have been an awesome death. That means something. But no, she had to go freezing, like she's icing over like a popsicle. And she's like, oh, yeah.
Like Superman.
Like, you can't survive in space, even if you're a Jedi, motherfucker. Like the cold vacuum, your skin.
Hey, look.
Here, it's actually on in the background. Look
Nice.
at that. Yeah, look at her. She's chilling. Come on, open those eyes, baby. Got the glare going. Oh, there's the hand. Frozen in place. Get some finger movement. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I hated that scene. I thought, because, Carrie Fisher had died. We knew about it, right? So I actually didn't. How did that timeline work? I think
she died before this movie came out.
Before it came
like
out. Okay.
This movie was already wrapped and in post and everything, which is why she didn't die, because I think that she was a big part in the Rise of Skywalker, which is why she's alive in this one.
That's why I remember thinking, damn, Carrie Fisher's really gone, and now Leia's dead. That was a good way for her to go, so that they don't have to. Obviously, they can't film with her anymore. I was like, that was a pretty good death. It's like Star Wars deaths. It was visually cool. It was unexpected. No one thinks you're going to kill Leia off. And so I was like, oh, damn, because no one knew that that was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm watching it. I'm like, damn, they killed her. Oh. They didn't even know they weren't going to be able to use her to film, and they still killed her off like Han. So that's how it's going to go, right? It's going to go Han, first movie, Leia, second movie, Luke, third movie. Okay, I can get down with that. They're going to give her all three. But, yeah, that seems fucking stupid. They shouldn't have brought her back. Should have just let her go. And then it's just like an artificial thing to have her like in a coma, just another plot device. Oh, now Leia's in a coma. Something's got to be done. And we didn't even talk about the dreadnought chase. Or I don't even know if it's a dreadnought chase, but the chase that's throughout the whole movie, right? They're running from the First Order, and all of a sudden there's fuel in a spaceship. Now they're talking about, we're running on empty. I've never heard anybody in Star Wars talk about fucking gas tank. They're just flying around the whole fucking movies without a care in the world. I would think that these are probably some kind of nuclear fission in these fucking spaceships. That's why they got these giant fucking cores, and if you blow them up, they just crazy nuke goes off. So first, I can get past that though, but it just seemed like a fucking stupid way to explain why we're gonna have this extremely slow, and comparatively to space travel, chase, and they can't get us. Oh, why can't they? They're right fucking behind you. You can't jump. They have weapons. It's like, can they not send a couple to go in front of you or something? Like, they can stop your ass. And like the Leia leader who takes over for Leia, the purple-haired Holdo,
yeah,
Holden,
Holdo.
Tomorrow. And this is like, it seems like this it really seems like this feminist push. He has all these women that work with her, and of course Poe's the bad guy. He's the guy trying to take over. It's like, no, you're gonna kill us all. And she's the powerful independent woman who has the plan, and he tries to overthrow her, and he does because her plan seems pretty fucking stupid. And she has a secret plan the whole time. And he asked her many times just to tell them the plan so they knew what they were doing. And they could plan, okay, just tell us. We have a plan, so we're not going to all die here. And the resistance is going to be over. And she never does. There's absolutely no reason for her not to tell the plan to the fucking crew of the
Yeah,
ship.
there is. Oh, hold on. Let's back up. Hold on. I got to defend this one a little bit. You may not agree again. We have disagreements, but I took it as like Holdo looks at Poe, like Poe just got demoted by the general, right? She knows, she even says in dialogue, looks at him in his face, you're a fucking, I've seen boys like you're a hot shot, you fucking shoot at the hip, you're a little fly boy. And not only that, so she doesn't trust him. And not only that, the New Order is tracking them somehow, some new tracking device they've never heard of. And they don't know how they got it. They don't know how they're tracking them. So they think there's a mole on the ship. So A, she doesn't trust Poe in general. And B, she's not going to tell the plan to anybody because she doesn't know who the mole is. Like it's clearly, it's said in the movie.
I don't remember them ever saying they contemplated there being a mole. I think they did go over that they know that they have a new tracking system that works through hyperspace. Because everyone knows that. Even Poe knew that. That's how he comes up with the plan to go find the guy who can disable the tracker, right? So they all know that's how they're tracking them. So I don't, maybe there's some dialogue, but I don't remember them ever thinking there was a mole. But it doesn't explain why she can't tell the plan to anyone in the crew. It doesn't seem like anyone knows the plan except her. One person. It just seems like a really weird device, a plot device to make Poe go against her. So we have some subversion.
It's conflict. Yes, you need conflict in a movie, and and
then
it could have been maybe Leia maybe it was Leia's plan all along. And no, I guess that doesn't make sense because Leia was in a coma. I was gonna say maybe Leia told Holdo,
"Don't worry, you can't make sense to any of this shit."
I'm not making.
Don't worry.
I should have rewatched it before, so I had, but. It does make sense that she doesn't trust him and that she's not going to tell him. Like, who the fuck are you, dude? Fuck off. I'm not telling you shit. Like, it's a need-to-know basis, and you don't need to know. I think that's fine.
He was demoted, but, I mean, he's still, like, the top pilot they have. It counts for something. But then it sends us on our most boring part of the whole fucking movie, I think, which is the code.
The fin.
Yeah.
It's pretty rough. I agree with you. It's the roughest part of the movie for sure.
That whole part of the movie could just be fucking cut out and removed. Doesn't change the movie at all. It's so boring. All the Canto Bright. Visually, when you first get there, it's like, oh, this would be cool.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to see that in Star Wars for sure.
And then immediately you'll find out this is nothing. We just spent like $2 million on these shots of like all these characters and prosthetics and stuff for nothing. Nothing of any value that's any real fun. It's just a fucking casino. I didn't need to see a space casino. It's cool to see, but I didn't need to see it. And then, so they're looking for this code breaker. And what I hated was like, there's this one guy in the galaxy who can do it. And fucking, they gotta find him. And then they find him. They get arrested. And then guess what? This fucking guy who's sitting in the cell, this fucking degenerate drunk, he can do it too. Benicio del Toro, I can do it.
He has a weird performance in this movie.
He's so funny in this movie. He's one of the best parts of the movie. It just takes you out of the film so much, though, to have that big star in there doing this.
Yeah. But he feels like he's in a different movie.
Yeah,
feels like totally a little bit. What are you doing?
I can break that door code.
And he has like a stutter.
Yeah. Take me and I can break the door. How can you break the door? I already did break the door. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, this guy can do it? Oh, apparently there's two in the galaxy, and one of them they just found on the way. So that was ridiculous. The whole Canto Bright shit was boring and dumb.
Well, didn't that end up being false anyways, though? Like, it was just a setup the whole time? Like, he wasn't even a code breaker? He just was trying to play both sides kind of deal?
Well, I think he was a really good hacker. Like, I think he could have done it, but he didn't. He just played both sides. But at the end, I think, he turned him over. But then by the end, didn't he play the Empire again?
I don't think so.
No?
I think during that moment, so he walks away with his money, and then that's when Holdo does the Holdo maneuver, which I actually want to go back to the Leia thing, because I didn't say anything about the Leia thing. The Leia dying. I agree with it. It looks silly. Actually, it does look silly, right? But I thought it was cool to see her use the Force because we haven't seen her use the Force yet, and she's obviously Force sensitive because she's
He
a
only uses
Skywalker.
the Force in life and death situations. It's an
I don't
emergency.
know. Yeah, I thought it was cool to see her use the Force, but yes, visually it looked silly. But you were saying that was a cool way for her to go out. I actually disagree. I think it would have been way cooler if she did the holdo maneuver. She was the one who fucking warp speeded that ship into the First Order. That like, her sacrifice that would
I
have been
watched,
cooler.
I just watched another video because I was getting ready for this, and I have my own opinions, but I wanted to see what other people didn't like about the movie
Hmm.
because a lot of people don't like it. So I was watching some of those lists, 15 things wrong, episode 8, and then I watched some other ones to try and get the other side to try and have some counter arguments against, why the Last Jedi is the greatest Star Wars, those kind of films, or
Yeah.
and so that brings me to one of these points I saw that I didn't think of, but I really agree with is that stupid maneuver you're talking about. It's like that's not how travel works in these Star Wars movies. When you go into hyperspace, that's like a wormhole. It kind of opens up, or else if you're just traveling really fast through space, you'd be hitting everything, right? But it opens like a wormhole, and then it kind of just—that's why it says woo, 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 does that crazy effect, and then it lets you out. Like you see the ship, it'll be like it's coming out of somewhere. And so if in fact what they're doing is just going fast and you could just do that to destroy anything, that kind of fucking ruins every dogfight ever in Star Wars, right?
How does that ruin?
Because like the Death Star, why
Mhm.
do you need to send one ship to go shoot the nuclear? Hey, if you have an extra ship, why don't you just put it into fucking hyperspace mode and shoot it right in the middle? Shoot it, boom. Just one ship. We'll lose one ship, but we'll blow up the Death Star. Or there's a giant fucking Star Destroyer. Just shoot one ship at it. Go through
Well,
it.
I think we're supposed to believe they're rebels, and they don't. It's not like we'll get another ship. Like they can only afford what they can afford. And B, in that logic, why don't we, as the U.S. Army or Navy, run our battleships into other battleships? It seems very expensive and costs a lot of lives.
Yeah,
And so I don't know if I agree with that argument. I
yeah.
think that it was a last minute thing that she sacrificed herself. I don't think they should be doing it willy nilly. I think
Yeah,
it's probably really expensive, and they probably don't have the means to just keep doing that all the time.
it's one ship. It's like if you could just destroy anything by running a space jump through it, it seems to weaken a lot of space battles. Like that could be done against any Death Star. It could have been done against the whatever they called it in Episode 7, the Planet Killer, whatever.
Oh yeah, Starbase Killer, I think.
Yeah, it's like that should be your plan against anything of any value in space. Then you could just find a junker ship that's on its last leg. All that can do is this one little maneuver. You could get a robot, so you don't even lose a human. You shoot through it,
Yeah,
blow it up. So yeah, I didn't
maybe
even
it's
think.
maybe it's illegal in their universe. You can't do that. And
But
she
then in the
protocol.
video they were saying maybe make it so it's like explain it more how it's super, you know, dangerous and you can't do it all the time. But they didn't really do that. They just the only
Yeah, but that would have been too on the nose. You know what I mean?
yeah. But
I don't know.
I wanted to bring that up because
Interesting argument. I don't know if I necessarily agree, but I guess it's an interesting point.
that just reminded me of that part. So where are we to Snoke's death yet? Is that where we're at?
Yeah, we could do Snoke's death. Which that's the shot that I was talking about that I wish I could go back in time and experience that in theater again. It was a fucking dope ass shot.
I thought, okay, we'll talk about Snoke and then we'll talk about maybe the throne room fight. The Snoke was an awesome bad guy. I thought this mysterious, visually looks pretty cool. Seems like Kylo's really afraid of him, and then they make Kylo out to be this badass. In Episode 7, he's a fucking badass. Episode 8, he's pretty fucking pussy. He doesn't really do nothing. Episode 7, he's very mean and menacing, and I thought he was gonna be really cool in 7, and then they start to weaken his character, and like it's like, dude, either you're bad or you're not. It's like you killed your father. He seems pretty bad to me, and then he's just wish washing back and forth. It's like,
Well,
whatever.
that's his whole character. I think that's what you say you hate him, but I think that makes him the most interesting out of all the new characters, is because he has this conflict. He even cries when he kills his dad. So it's not like he's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you, dad, and slice his head off and celebrates. He cries because he doesn't know what he wants to be yet. You know what I mean? Like, and I think that makes him interesting. He's not just a full cookie cutter villain who's just like, oh, I'm angry. Like he has that's which is why Ray can sense that he has good in him because he's conflicted throughout all of these movies.
He did know what he wanted to be in episode 7. He wanted to fulfill his grandfather's destiny. He said it many times. He wants to be the Darth Vader. He wants to fulfill the destiny. And that's why he said, I know what I must do, but I don't know if I can do it. He knows he has to kill his father to be anything like his grandfather, to be completely evil. So he does it because he knows the path he wants to take. But it seems like after 7, he's just wishy-washy all over the place. 7, he was more of a Vader character. He's in the helmet a lot more. I love it. Like when you first see him, he's like, check the wheels. I thought the voice of the helmet was really cool.
It was pretty cool.
Pretty menacing character.
I love when he stops the fucking.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was pretty cool.
Like one of the coolest things. Never seen that. And then in like episode 8, he gets made fun of a little bit, and he destroys Vader's helmet. Or his own
helmet. His own helmet.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know. He's just too wishy-washy. Like, there needs to be a reason why you're turning back good. There's not a compelling reason. It's like, Ray, who cares? I mean, your father and your mother couldn't get you, and Luke couldn't get you, but all of a sudden this girl's like, oh, yeah, no, you got me thinking my life again. So I liked his arc in 7, who was more stern, and I think he did have a path until his past started getting rewritten by different people and changed. But we were talking about Snoke.
Mm-hmm.
Snoke, I thought was a really compelling character. You don't know much about him. I wanted to get more info on him. Like, because like I said, that's why I brought up Kylo, because episode 7 Kylo was pretty badass. And why would he be afraid of Snoke and not, try and be the leader? Because obviously Snoke's going to be even more badass. So I wanted to learn about that. And of course, watching 7, you're like, oh, we're going to know all about this. This is the new Emperor. We're going to get lots of backstory and how this dude came. Got nothing. Still got nothing, even in 9, when they tried to tie some stuff together. It's like, how the fuck?
Where he's a clone? Okay.
Yeah. A clone of what?
Yeah.
Like, oh, there's lots of them. Why? If no one knows who the fuck he is, why do you need more than one? It makes no goddamn sense. It's fucking dumb. But I liked him, and it's like and they just killed him without anything. He didn't do anything in these movies. He's just useless. Nothing.
Yeah. I'm actually pretty sympathetic to that complaint. And I get it. I think a lot of people were excited about Snoke. I don't know. I'm not one of those people who goes to like the websites before a movie that has like top 5, theories on who this person is, or top 5 theories of who Ray. Like, I don't really seek those out. I just wait till the movie comes out and see what the movie tells me. So I know that a lot of people are upset about Snoke, and I totally get that. But I do like that they just throw him away, because fuck it, who cares about this guy? We've already done this game before. We've already done this. We've already seen an emperor who pulls the strings. Why do we keep rehashing the same shit over and over? Which is, I think, what Ryan is doing. He's like, why is JJ doing another emperor? Why is he doing another Death Star? We don't need to do this. We can do something different and expand the universe. And also that I think that Kylo should have been the villain. He should be the only villain. There shouldn't be anyone pulling the strings. Kylo should be the star villain of this movie, which is what this movie is trying to be. Like, Snoke doesn't mean shit. Kylo's the important one. That's the way I took it.
Yeah, but that's the way the Sith are. There's never just one. Mm-hmm. There has to be someone, or why would he turn evil? He made up in his own mind without ever even knowing about, the other side of the Force and training with Luke. He's like, well, what if I don't like this stuff? I just think it's a really weird proposition for someone to become a Sith and not have an influence, so to be turned to a Sith, to come up with it on your own. How does that even happen? You know what I mean? It just doesn't make much sense.
That's fair. That's a fair point.
It made sense to me that like Snoke was coming around. Maybe he was within the Jedi Temple, kind of turning him slowly over time until finally he broke. And I thought maybe we'd get some of that info, but no.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that Kylo, he trained with Luke and it didn't go very well. and then he trains with Snoke, and that's clearly not going very well. So I think that's what's cool about the turn is that like he's just fed up. He's like, fuck the light, fuck the dark, Rey, let's just take my hand, let's start our own thing. Like fuck all this bullshit. Like I'm done with it. Like I'm done with these sides. Like let's go kick it somewhere else. Like I like that a lot, which is probably why he kills Snoke, but or
Yeah,
the reason why he kills Snoke because he's just fucking sick of all this shit.
yeah. And then we get to the throne battle. There has to be a lightsaber battle in every Star Wars movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is not one in this. There's a battle with lightsabers. It's not
Yeah,
a lightsaber battle. And like that battle scene was, I feel like it's all just done to be visually appealing. It's all red. All the marketing material for this movie is red. They're all wearing red gowns and shit.
pretty
Um,
badass.
it's not in the film. I don't know where they came up with this red, but yeah, this one scene actually is red, and then it's done for visual, and it just looks like shit.
What? That scene's fucking rad. I love that
Bad.
fight scene. So good.
It's
My
bad
whole
choreography.
theater lost their shit when that scene happened.
Dude, it's bad choreography. It's like
Oh
not
no, that was
good
so
fight
cool.
scene. They filmed it all one shot, and Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver are not very good. And it shows. Like I watched the breakdowns of this fight scene, and there's just all these fucking scenes where the I don't know what they're called, the Snoke guards, the red guys,
Hmm.
they're like they have a kill shot, and either Daisy or Adam mess up their choreography because it's one shot. You got to be perfect. You know, they're showing all of it in camera, and they have to like. I've seen scenes they go like this. They kind of go over their head because they missed a duck, and then you see them they duck after that, and it's bad choreography. It's nothing like fucking Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor. Like those guys, that choreography was fucking amazing. Those lightsaber battles, fucking
Dude, that
every
Phantom
hit.
Menace battle still one of my favorite lightsaber
Ooh.
battles. Darth Maul. Oh my god, so
I, I,
good.
I think Luke, or not Luke, but Obi-Wan and Anakin in 3. That's like the longest
Mm.
lightsaber battle, and God, they're just it's so good.
Yeah.
But episode 1 is really good. I thought that battle just kind of sucked and wasn't very good. And they're fighting like these guards with these things that aren't even lightsabers. It's like these guys shouldn't be that much work. You just kind of hold your lightsaber out and spin around, and everyone's cut in half.
Mm.
And they're not Jedi's, so why are they? Why is it so hard? It's interesting, kind of interesting visually, but yeah, I didn't wasn't a fan of that battle too much. The more I think about it, I liked it at the time, but then the more I think about it, they didn't get an actual lightsaber battle. Maybe Daisy, if she found, or Rey, if she would have found out like what his actual plans were, because she's thinking they could go with each other and kind of just leave, and he's thinking they go with each other and they're like, Emperor and Vader, and
Yeah.
control the galaxy.
Start their
Maybe
own thing. Yeah.
find out really what he's thinking, and then they battle a little bit at the end. Would have made it better, but the way it was, I didn't like it too much.
Yeah, I think yeah, I don't know. I love that scene a lot. But I do think we actually got that scene in Trevorrow's script, which so in Trevorrow's script, Kylo actually goes to where Anakin was born. What's that lava planet? I forget what that planet's called. Um, but Kylo actually goes to that planet to like
He was
I think
born on
that's
Tatooine, where you talk about the planet where he died.
yeah, sorry, where he died, where he becomes Vader.
Yeah,
Um I guess Kylo goes there to speak to the Emperor and like a ghost type of deal or whatever, get training from the Emperor, which is why I think the Emperor kind of snuck his way into the Rise of Skywalker. They kind of took that, but obviously amplified it. But in Colin Trevorrow's script, Kylo goes to that planet, and then Rey basically meets him there, and they get into a fucking epic ass lightsaber fight. That would have been dope.
yeah, would have been.
Anyways, neither here nor there, but that just reminded me when you said that you wish they would have fought. That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, and so that Snoke dies. And that brings us to breaking of the lightsaber, and they're both forcing it, and it's like,
Mm-mm.
dude, really? You're gonna break the iconic lightsaber for what? Makes no sense. Uh, and haven't we already shown that the lightsaber, in episode 7, it chooses its next owner, right? And it chose Daisy. That's why it called to you. That little fucking thing with the eyes. It called.
Moscanada.
Yeah, the bitch is like, they're here. And then it calls to you. And so she's like chosen. And they're both forcing for it in the snow in episode 7. That's probably my favorite visual. I love that lightsaber battle in the snow where you see like little flecks of snow getting lit up by the lightsabers. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
really cool to have the heat of a lightsaber against the cold of the snow. Um, and then, they're both forcing for it in the snow, and it comes to Rey instead because it's hers. She's chosen. But for some reason, when they're doing it this time, it's just like, no, you're both pretty strong. Then it breaks. I was like, dude, breaking the iconic weapon just to rebuild it in episode 8. Or maybe Ryan had different plans and just wanted to get that saber out, but it
Yeah.
comes back and it's ugly because they got some stupid band on it, like a band-aid. It's like a black band. I don't think that's how it works. You could just fucking put it back together. But I didn't like that. I didn't like that they broke the iconic Luke saber. I didn't like that it didn't come to her right then, like it has in the past. I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
Saber, did you?
What's up?
You didn't care they broke fucking
No,
Anakin's saber.
it didn't bother me. I don't know. It's funny because yeah, it doesn't bother me, but I think visually, it's hard for me to when I see things like this in movies where people are going, and then they cut to the reverse. I never. It looks corny and stupid to me. And all Star Wars and all Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter's when people are doing the thing and you can't really see, like it always looks cheesy to me. So that scene in the wide shot when they're both doing that is cheesy to me. But I don't really care that the lightsaber got broke. Whatever.
Yeah, that puts us
Crate,
near.
the Battle of Crate.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh shit, there's more of this movie. Shit just keeps going. Damn, great. Oh man.
Wait, what? Before we get into the nitty gritty of the crate, do we agree that the visual of that planet is fucking awesome? How like during battle it looks like the planet's bleeding with all the fucking red. I
See,
love that. That's so cool.
I was just about to get into that. That I thought this is the most boring part, other than Canto Bright. This is the most boringest fucking battle. Like you build up to this battle, and it's almost like you think it's gonna be like episode 5, kind of walkers and stuff, but it
Hmm.
just fucking sucks. And then I feel like they had this gimmick of it being salt over this red planet, so they could somehow give it some visual flair. The red shit kicks up, and I didn't think it looked that cool. I think it was just a reason to make it visually different than episode 5, because he hates following the mold, and I think he knew having walkers and these low flying ships, which are kind of like snow speeders on this white kind of planet, was too much. It's like, no, it's not episode 5. It's got fucking blood. The planet's bleeding. The sand's going everywhere.
Yeah, it's fucking badass.
I didn't think it was that cool. I mean, it helps it a little bit, but just it's such a boring fucking fight. First of all, their ships are fucking stupid as shit. You got pod racers. Why didn't you just give them some decent ships and make it a little more interesting? They're like open cockpit, like going at
This is like the last stand. This is why it makes it so
the
so
last stand.
epic.
You're gonna have all your weapons that you have left. This is really it.
No, they just got their ass. They just got their ass kicked.
You got
This is
pod
them.
racers, dude. Come on, man. Now this is pod racing.
No, man, I like it. I like it. I like that this whole movie. Another theme of this movie is about failing. Everyone in this movie fucking fails, and I love it.
It failed all right,
God damn it.
but yeah, it's not interesting. And they have all these walkers, and it's like you're not gonna make a stand with these things. And the fact that they lasted at all was just unrealistic to me. It's like I forget what they say they are. They're not even any kind of a fighter. They don't have weapons, I don't think, on those ships, right? They didn't have guns. They were just flying. They were just, what were they trying to do? I don't even remember.
They were trying to create a diversion so
delay
they
it?
could sneak out the. They're trying to find a way out, and they're trying to create a diversion.
Yeah, they're just creating a diversion. And then it's like, because they're moving up the big electric battering ram. I was like, what the fuck? It's always a kyber crystal bullshit now in the new trilogy. It's a kyber crystal battering ram. It can get through anything. I was like, dude, I bet those walkers could get through it too. Just go whoop the walker. You kick it with the fucking foot. You're in.
Dink.
Anyway, and of course it moves really slow. Everything in episode 8 moves really slow. So you have about 10, 20 minutes before this shit gets to your door.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, you liked it visually. Visually, it was interesting. I didn't like it. I thought it was boring.
Yeah, I don't know. I totally get where you're coming from, and people, that share the same opinion. I just think that, when I look at Force Awakens, and what's so cool about Star Wars, it's so fucking vast, right? You have the imagination to create whatever planets you want and go places that we haven't seen before, right? And I think that what JJ fails at is that you look at Force Awakens and all the planets we go to are fucking familiar. We've seen them. Oh, another desert planet. Oh, we're in the forest. Oh, we're just on a snow planet. Like at least Crate is visually different, something that we haven't seen before, and it's not just a forest or a desert or a snow planet. So that's kind of where I'm coming from, where it's like, oh, cool, it's something different that we haven't seen before, and visually it looks cool.
Yeah. Sorry, I just caught that glimpse of episode 8 in the background. That was a pretty cool scene. The only scenes really where we get some actual fucking backstory of what has happened since episode 6.
Mm.
This is like, oh, God forbid that we tell that story, because that's kind of a important story, right? So I like to see in some of it's on this side.
Oh, I wanted to bring. I know we're kind of jumping around a little bit, going away from. I'm going to go away from the Battle of Crate for a second, but one of the things I actually didn't like about this movie is it didn't tell us what the Knights of Ren were. I thought the Knights of Ren in Force Awakens was a cool concept. Oh, what are the Knights of Ren? Like Kylo has this group of people that he's like a entourage of other soldiers. That's kind of cool, but he kind of didn't explore that in this movie. I thought it was kind of a bummer.
They're completely unimportant and completely misused. Like every villain in this series, the new series, it makes no sense. They seem to be important. That's why he got his name. I mean, the name you choose to go by, and you say Ben Kenobi or whatever. No, Ben. What the fuck is his last name? Solo. Ben Solo is dead, and yet we never. Well, why would you say he's dead? Well, because the Knights of Ren. Who the fuck are they? Meh. Read a book. In the expanded universe, motherfucker.
Yeah. I thought that was a bummer that we didn't get to explore that. I mean, they tried to squeeze it in Rise, but it was a convoluted mess by that point. So
no, and by that point, even the main characters are like, "Who the fuck are they?" Well, you don't know? No, I don't. Oh, they're very important. They're very important.
Yeah,
they're all Jedi.
Yeah. That's one negative I didn't like about that
they're all former Jedi. I thought that's why we were all fighting, because we only had 2.
Mm-hmm.
There's more of these fuckers around. So get to Crate. Finally, it's like, whoa, they're gonna do something with Luke. Really? Luke's not just gonna be a little bitch. And going back to the other thing, like, I guess that's kind of going into episode 9. But talking about burning the Jedi thing, and then in episode 9, Yoda, I just want to bring up. He's like, oh, it's okay, you can burn it. They're just books. And he's like, oh yeah. She's like, real page turners, were they? And it's like, all of a sudden, you're okay with burning everything, and it's just all over the place. But staying on episode 8.
Well, hold on. I want to touch on that real quick before we move on. So Luke's struggle in this movie is that he failed Ben, right, and created a villain. And he's haunted by his decision because he was like gonna kill him basically, and then he changed his mind, or he came to his senses and didn't. So he's kind of haunted by this experience with Ben. And Yoda comes down and says like, "Hey, this is the whole theme of failure, right? Hey, like it's okay to fail. Failure, the best teacher is. Like fucking who cares? Burn it. It's all good. Like move on." Be better, you fucked up, who gives a shit? Like, so why are you holding on to these texts? Why do you think that, who cares? They're not great books, they're not, or whatever he says, they're not page turners. Like move on, like let's go. So I think that's what's the importance of that scene, not just Yoda coming down and being like, "Fuck everything, burn it all down." Like there's reasons for it, you know.
Yeah. And then yeah, I just don't get his motivations. It's like, dude, yeah, he failed Ben. He created a villain, but then he's just gonna leave the villain to its own devices to take over the galaxy. It's like
That's what Obi-Wan did.
that seems like the bigger loss. Well, Obi-Wan, they attempted to stop it and they couldn't, right? Because he took his last stand against Anakin. He actually won his stand, or at least he thought he did.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't know Anakin lived. And then Yoda took his last stand against the Emperor. He lost his, but that was their last stand, and they knew that. There was only two of them left, and so they couldn't win. They tried. Luke never tried. I mean, it would have been better if he would have failed, but I don't see how he would have failed. I mean, he's Luke Skywalker, and that's just Ben Kenobi. God damn it! Why do I keep calling him Kenobi? Ben Kenobi. There needs to be a new Kenobi. God damn it!
Yeah, right.
Anyways, so back to Crate. We think Luke's actually going to do something. Like, hell yeah. Fucking Luke coming back. He realized, comes to his senses, he needs to help everybody. Because that's the hero arc that he's always been on. And they have a pretty cool little fight. It's not a lightsaber battle, and I'll get into that. Yeah, that was pretty cool. That was the only thing in these movies that I think was actually in character for Luke.
I like him winking at C-3PO. That was kind of fun.
Oh, yeah. But that seemed like in character for him. He'd been a Jedi. He kind of knows his ethos, and he knows the legend of himself. So to kind of do that, like, it was kind of cool. The little bit of arrogance you'll get from a Jedi.
Yeah.
So they fight him, and you get one of the best scenes. More! Sir, the laser, more! And it's like, why is the other guy even worried about it? Like the fucking little sniveling guy.
Oh yeah, the General Hux.
Sure.
Little weasel.
It's like the family. Like, what are you paying by the laser? Who cares? Like, quit shooting so many lasers. Why? Let him shoot all the fucking lasers for 20 minutes. Who cares?
I love Adam Driver's delivery of the line when the Millennium Falcon Ray and Chewbacca come in with the Millennium Falcon, and he's like, "I want you to shoot that piece of junk out of the sky!" Like, oh, it's such a good delivery. It's awesome. He's like full on fucking villain at that point. It's good. It's good stuff. Anyways, so yeah, the fight
with his big nipples. And then the fight. Does he think it's finally going to happen? He goes down there. I'll do it myself. All the lasers didn't work. Goes down there. Pretty cool. Or at least I thought it was cool until I found out what it was. And then, yeah, they're fighting. And then by the end, you realize Luke was just creating a diversion. Everyone is able to get away with Rey's help, who comes in the back, lifts some rocks. That's why she trained. Yay. It's all connected.
Yeah. It's working.
Comes in the back. That's one of the few connecting threads we have in episode 8. Something happened earlier. She learned with rocks, and now she's moving rocks. So Luke creates the diversion, comes to find out he's not there because, Kylo slices through him, and it's just kind of like a projector kind of thing. So what did you call it?
Astral projection.
Yeah, it was an astral force projection that he did, and that is my biggest fucking problem with this movie. Fucking hate that, because it kills him. It goes back to the planet he's on, and then you see the robes just kind of fall down. He dies, kind of Obi-Wan-esque and Yoda-esque. I think the explanation, it takes so much power out of your body to project yourself across the whole galaxy.
Yeah, I think even Kylo has a line where when him and Rey meet for the first time, they're kind of like, "What's going on?" And I think Kylo says, "Wait, you're not doing this. If you were, you'd be dead." Which then you later find out Snoke's actually getting them to connect. So yeah, if the assumption is that if you do what Luke did, you're gonna die.
Yeah, but what's to prevent him from going there? We know there's an X-wing there. It's used later. So he just lift the X-wing, fly there yourself. And I think it would have made his death and this battle so much better if it was an actual lightsaber battle. It wasn't, they could, because if you watch the battle, you realize later they never actually hit their lightsabers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they can't. So he's just kind of dodging stuff, and you don't realize they're not actually lightsaber battling until it explains everything, and you're like, oh yeah, I guess their lightsabers never touched because it wouldn't work. Cause just
Yeah.
I did like they gave Luke the blue lightsaber. I thought that was
Mm-hmm.
cool, even though he didn't have a blue lightsaber. Uh, so that was kind of cool. But yeah, it makes his death so much more important if it was real. Like, let him sacrifice himself on this planet because he finally knows he needs to be the hero. So he goes there. He's like, finally, it would make his arc up until then, being the grumpy asshole, which I didn't like, it would redeem it. He goes there, he sacrifices himself like Obi-Wan did for him. He knew what had to be done. He goes there in real life, has a lightsaber battle, and then at the end, you just fucking bring up your saber. They're gone and get sliced. And then robes fall. Boom. That would have been amazing. It would have made his death worth something and an actual sacrifice. I didn't like the sacrifice. Well, he did sacrifice. He was sitting on a rock. It's like, but why? At that point, for the story, it does the same exact thing, but it has so much more of an impact when it's real. I didn't see a reason why the story needed to keep him on his planet when he sacrificed himself versus being there and actually a physical sacrifice.
Mm. Yeah, I mean those are some good points there. Again, I think the takeaway is that he sacrificed himself to let the rebels live to fight another day and to spark the lights of the revolution. That was the whole point. Whether or not he needs to be there or not, I guess, is the big argument between people who love it or hate it. It doesn't matter to me, to be honest, whether he's there or not. I think
Of course it doesn't.
he sacrificed himself. He did what he needed to do. I thought him dying in front of the dual suns was fucking awesome. Yeah, I was okay with all of it, but I understand why you don't like it and a lot of people don't. I totally get it. It's not like I can't believe Bryan, you would have that opinion. Like, yeah, I totally get why people are upset that he wasn't there, but also doesn't really bother me that much.
There was a nipple scene.
Nipples.
There we go. Yeah, I just thought, damn, that would have been a good death for Luke. If you're gonna kill him, I don't think he should have died until maybe 9. Maybe get a little more training in there, a little more backstory. But
sure,
if you're gonna kill him, let him have that cool sacrifice moment and be the martyr. He saved everybody. He did save everybody, I guess, but it has a different impact when he wasn't there. Totally different impact.
But it's kind of a bummer they threw that away in Rise, because the whole point was to let them live, let them get away to fight another day, but also like it was supposed to spark this, oh my god, Luke showed up and oh shit, we got to get our band together and join the rebels. Like that was completely tossed in Rise, so that was kind of bullshit. It's Lando that does it. Like, come on. Luke's sacrifice was supposed to get people together, so I thought that was kind of shitty that JJ didn't incorporate that sacrifice into Rise. From what I remember, I've only seen it once, but
I don't think it was tossed. I don't feel like it was Lando that did it, because they thought no one was coming again, right? And that big space battle, then Lando shows up. I mean, he's there. I don't think fucking no one knows who Lando was. I don't think he recruited all these people. Like, hey, this fucking black guy says someone needs our help.
I thought he was like a general, and it doesn't matter. I don't even remember.
He was a general for half a movie. Now.
But yeah, I thought that was kind of a bummer. They didn't like start Rise with like the resistance, getting more people to join and talking about Luke's sacrifice and whatnot. Maybe they did. Maybe I just don't remember. But
no, it was at the end battle when all of a sudden thousands of ships came from across the galaxy to help them, and then the Empire was like, where the fuck did they all come from? And it's like, they have thousands of them, and they're just even stupid ships, pod racers from that fucking crate planet. Let's do it. It's like the guy from fucking Independence Day.
Yeah.
And he's these aliens.
I fucking hate that movie. We should do an episode where I trash on that movie. Anyways.
Independence Day?
No, fucking Rise of Skywalker. Independence Day's dope.
It's not that great either. None of them are. So we're about to the end,
Yeah.
but sacrifice could have meant something more. And then it ends with the stupidest fucking. I didn't like this. It shows the kid on fucking Kanto playing with some toys because he's heard about Luke or this story. Somehow this story has already gotten out. Luke sacrificed himself, but he's playing with a little toy, and then what he force moves something.
It's a broom.
Oh yeah, the broom.
He like
Force moves the broom. So someday he's gonna be cleaning that place just like fucking Fantasia. But
Cinderella.
it made no sense. It's like they're going with the anyone can do anything. It's like just this little boy, he moves a broom, and then we never see him again. I think it's going to mean something, but it's never really touched on again. But of course, it's not, because these fucking movies are shitty and piecemealed because no one continues the other person's. JJ starts. Ryan doesn't continue his story. JJ can't continue his own story after that because Ryan didn't continue his story. So they're all just completely different, kind of connected movies. So I didn't like the ending.
I was fine with it. I thought it was a cool, touching moment at the end. Maybe I'm a softie. I don't know. I thought it was. Plus, I think at that time, I think it may have been scrapped ultimately, but at the time, it was announced that Ryan was going to have his own trilogy that wasn't connected. So a lot of people were speculating that maybe that kid would be the protagonist. And he's kind of setting up his. I think that trilogy is scrapped. But no, I thought that was a nice, touching way to end the movie for sure. In my opinion, I don't know.
They definitely took his trilogy away. I wonder what that fucking thing would have been.
Yeah, I don't know.
Only imagine. It probably would have went over better than this because it wouldn't have been a numbered Star Wars film.
Yeah.
And just a separate story where you can do a separate story, you can do whatever the fuck you want. But in a numbered Star Wars film, you got to play within the sandbox of George Lucas. You know, so there's certain rules and things. This is the way the rules of how Star Wars works. You know, you're not going to be like all of a sudden, okay, the Porgs have the Force. You know, you're not just going to. You're going to play within the sandbox. I think the Porgs were a good thing to come out of this movie. I love Porgs.
Yeah, Porgs are cool. I don't know. I don't know. You may have to elaborate on that because I do think he played within the sandbox. I just feel like he gave us something different that fans were not expecting. Therefore, there's a backlash. I don't understand why that necessarily makes it a bad movie. You know what I mean? Like all the other movies subvert expectations, just like this one does.
But
all other movies do the same thing this movie does, but somehow this movie is demonized for some reason that I need someone to explain why.
I'm trying to explain it because you and people who agree with you think that the hate comes from subverting expectations. It doesn't. It comes from subverting expectations while not giving us a good story to back those subversions. Why'd you kill Snoke? I still haven't heard a good fucking reason.
Because Kylo is the villain. Snoke doesn't matter. Who the fuck's Snoke?
That's the reason?
Yes, that's the reason. Snoke doesn't matter.
You gotta have a better reason to subvert the expectation. Like if Kylo knows something about Snoke, or he wants to be the Emperor type character, which he does, but I mean, Vader had a much better reason for killing
Palpatine.
Everyone who's killed someone on the Sith side even has a better reason. Like Dooku has a better reason to want to kill Palpatine. We find out he's kind of plotting against him. He's kind of, we don't even know. He's like pretending to be a Sith because he knows about the Sith. He tries to warn Obi-Wan. It's like some cool things going on. But I think all the subversions in 8 were done to be subversions. I think Rian Johnson just he came into this film saying, you know, people aren't going to get what they expected. He didn't have a good story as to why. He just wanted to subvert, and then I'll figure it out later kind of thing. That's why people don't like it. I don't think subversions aren't a problem. If there's a good story note or they're good as opinion, but us who believe that think that what wasn't good enough story threads and good enough story arcs to support the subversions of expectations, I think.
All right, that's fair. I still think I made a case for why Kylo just doesn't do it because, haha, gotcha. Like he does it because he's sick of this game of the light and the dark, and fuck this guy and fuck Luke, and I'm gonna kill this guy and I'm gonna try and get Rey to join me. That's why he does it. He doesn't do it because we're subverting expectations because you don't see it coming. He does it. He has a motivation why he kills Snoke.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, it's there. It's in the movie.
Yeah. So I don't like
We may not like it because a lot of people spent fucking years pulling up bullshit theories of who he is, and it got wasted, and it pissed a lot of people off. I can understand that, but to say that there's no reason for it is, I think it's false. I think there is reasons, and it's in the movie. It's part of his character and how he grows, and the next scene explains why he did it. So I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think there's reasons. I just don't think they're good reasons.
That's fair. That's fair.
Anyway, so I guess that brings us to the end. Is you want to have any closing remarks or what? So first of all, let's put in before your closing remarks.
Yeah.
You think that this is the best numbered, or the best Star Wars period, or is the best numbered Star Wars?
No, I think Empire still holds the throne. I don't think any movie's gonna take that. Well, I guess it's done, but yeah, none of these movies take it off the throne. I think that movie is a classic. But I do think this one is right behind it, in my opinion. And if I was going to rate them, yes, Last Jedi is my personal favorite, but I don't think it's as good as Empire.
Yeah, I would probably put it last. Yeah, definitely last of the numbered movies. One thing that this new trilogy has done is made us all so much more appreciative of the prequels, which everyone hated. The prequels are pretty fucking good now. I'm looking at them. It's like, yeah,
no, they're still bad.
They got a story arc that goes through all the movies. They don't fuck around within their own. They know what they're trying to do, and they don't waffle about it. Good, bad, or indifferent. What do you think about midichlorians and all the shit? They do go through a good arc. There's some good characters. There's some.
There's a good arc and there was a plan, but I would argue that the execution was very poor.
There's some good characters and good parts. I'd rather watch episode 1 or 2, which are notorious for people not liking very much, than any of the new trilogy.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Ewan McGregor, man. Yeah, anyways, you can go to your
yeah. I mean, yeah. So it's my favorite Star Wars. I hopefully everyone out there for either likes this movie or hates it. Hopefully that both of us made good cases for both sides of the aisle, and so I hope that I was a voice for people that love the movie, and I hope that Bryan was a good voice for people who hate it. But ultimately, I'm very curious to see how this movie, particularly Last Jedi, how it does over time, because there's this parallel. I did a little research, like you were saying, we watched some videos in preparation for this podcast. I did the same. I watched videos on both sides of the aisle, and one of the things that kept popping up was that, and you probably came across it too, but Empire actually wasn't loved in 1980. It was actually very mixed in the same way that Last Jedi was. I was reading a piece from the New York Times that fucking completely bashed Empire. I was reading one from the Washington Post. And yeah, I think being somebody in 1980 after coming off of New Hope, where like New Hope was this grand good time and this cool space adventure and blow up the Death Star at the end, everyone cheers and gets medals and woohoo, what a good time. And then you come back 2 years later, and then you get this movie that's slowed way down and it cares more about character and than spectacle. And I think a lot of people were upset by that. And they actually, to my surprise, a lot of people didn't even like the Vader reveal because they thought it came out of left field and didn't make a whole lot of sense. And I saw some theories from like little clips from little snippets from newspapers and magazines that people were like, Vader's lying to Luke just to get him to the dark side, in the same way that we're talking about Kylo's lying to Rey. So I thought that was kind of a cool parallel. But I'm wondering how Last Jedi does in the long run, because in the long run, Empire, through maybe the age of VHS and reruns on TV, people started giving Empire a second chance, and then became this everyone's favorite Star Wars film. And I'm wondering if The Last Jedi will will over time get some people to give it another chance and see what happens. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I'm curious to see in 10 years if Last Jedi will be more beloved or still hated. I don't know. Time will tell.
Yeah, I don't think that any of the Disney movies are going to be looked upon in a better light later. I think probably they'll be looked upon worse. Like, oh, what did they do? Why did they do this?
Mhm.
They didn't need sequels. Well, we wanted them, and that's why they did it. So I don't think it'll. Maybe it'll lessen the hate, but I don't think any of these new movies are going to be looked upon as good in the future. I don't. They
Yeah,
just
and I think if they do, and you may be right. I guess we won't know till till the future. But I think of all three of the newer ones, I think this one might stand the test of the time just because it's so controversial. I think it's actually a good thing that it's controversial. Like here we are, what 3 years later, 4 years later, still talking about this movie, and I think a lot of people are too. No one's sitting there talking about Force Awakens or Rise of Skywalker. We're all talking about Last Jedi because it's so controversial, and I think that's a good thing. And we'll see how it does over time. But
yeah, I still think that uh, if you're 20 years from now and you want to watch a movie from the new Disney era, that Force Awakens is probably the one to watch.
mm,
Because I imagine that if you're in the future and you wanted to watch the sequel movies, you would watch the originals. It got you interested. And I think Force Awakens is just a good uh, welcome back movie. Oh, you get to
mm,
see Han, you get to see Leia again, some of your favorite old characters. I thought it was a fun. That to me is the best one. It's a fun popcorn reunion movie,
mhm.
and uh, I just got less and less, involved as they moved on. But that one was a good comeback. I mean, maybe it's been so long, so we're so ready for a new Star Wars. So they could have pretty much gave us anything at that point with
Sure.
some of the original characters, and I would have loved it. But my closing arguments on eight, yeah, I just don't think it's a very good movie. But even being the worst Star Wars movie, as a Star Wars fan, doesn't make it a terrible movie. I don't think there is a terrible movie in Star Wars. I can find some redeeming qualities in all of them. All
Well,
the
actually, sorry, can I interrupt you for just one
yeah,
second? Sorry. Can I ask you a question? So, do you think? So you say it's a bad Star Wars movie, but do you think it's a good movie? Like, it doesn't hit the Star Wars beats that you think a Star Wars movie should have, and that's why you don't like it. But do you think it's just a good movie overall? Like, do you think it has a good three act structure and yada yada yada? Or can you not distance the two?
I guess, like I said, it's not a bad movie.
Mm,
I don't want to say it's a good movie. It's not a bad movie. It's like it's bad movie to me. It's like I would not suggest somebody watch it. You know what I
mm,
mean? You wouldn't. You could watch this. I would suggest it. It's part of the new trilogy. I wouldn't say go watch episode 7 and watch episode 9. No,
yeah,
watch it and you can make your own decision. It's just how many times will you watch it? You know what I mean? It's Star
sure.
Wars, so it needs to be watched, but I'm not going to be rewatching it again. I think I've seen it maybe 3 times in its entirety.
Hmm.
So there's a couple times I went back. It's not bad enough where I was like, I'm not going to watch it again, but it is bad enough where I've watched it the least times out of the Star Wars movies. But the new trilogy is also up there. I've probably watched Force Awakens the most at all these because, like I said, that one's a fun one you could just put on,
Yeah, yeah,
and it doesn't seem too long or too drawn out. 8 and 9 both seem very long and drawn out, and it's like you got to really want to watch that movie to put it on.
sure.
So I watch those two a lot. Um, but yeah, I'm just not a big fan of it. Like it's not a bad movie. I don't want to say it's a good movie because I don't really think it's a good movie either. Um, it's a it's a good movie in the sense of it's visually stunning, good popcorn flick. I do agree. It's probably the best shot Star Wars film. JJ's not really a uh, cinematographer. It doesn't. I don't.
Yeah,
Great vision. I think Star Trek actually looked really good.
yeah,
Star
for
Trek
sure.
looked better than his filming on Star Wars. They had a lot of cool shots on that. Of course, lens flares. Flare.
Oh yeah, I
But
wanted to. Will you indulge me in geeking out in a shot in Last Jedi real quick?
yeah,
So The moment that I've brought up in this episode a couple times, I haven't explained it. Is I keep saying there's a shot in this movie where my whole theater erupted, and I think it's a unique shot that you don't necessarily see a lot in these movies. There's a shot in the throne room where Snoke gets impaled, and it starts with like you hear the sound effect and the Snoke's his like reaction of a close up, and then you cut to a medium shot of him in the throne with the saber going through his stomach, and then we cut to this fucking wide shot, right? And in the foreground on the right hand of the frame, you see in focus, you see Kylo Ren's fingers, and they go like that, and the camera pushes forward like a foot. And at the same time, the lightsaber leaves Snoke's body and flies towards the frame. And the moment it gets to the foreground, Rey's hand jolts up from the bottom of the frame and catches it. Oh my God, it's all in one shot. It's so fucking cool, man. It's so awesome. When I saw that in the theater, when the Rey grabs the saber, the whole theater lost their fucking shit. It was cool.
Yeah, I mean that's a cool visually, and I'm sure some of that uproar in the theater was you kind of think that they're working together now, something's going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It
yeah.
turns out to not be the case, but
I don't know. I just love that shot. Like, it was a cool shot.
yeah, visually cutting Snoke in half was a cool twist at the time, but I just don't think it was worth it. You know, it didn't pay off in the long run. It didn't pay off in the movie either. I don't think. But I mean, it's cool. I mean, you see him, and then you hear, like you said, you hear it, and then he kind of the whole fucking body just slides off. That looked pretty cool. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of this movie. I mean, I'm fucking no Jake, that's for sure.
Oh my God, dude! Some of the dude, I'm so glad that you don't troll like he does, because God, some of the shit. Like he said that
Sometimes
this movie was worse than Batman and Robin. I'm like, get the fuck out of here with your bullshit. There's no way in any world that this movie is worse than Batman and Robin. I'm sorry, that's some troll shit.
dude, it's pretty fun to troll you on it sometimes, though.
Yeah, I'm a good sport. It's fun.
You post those memes, I'm like, oh, that's that's the best thing that's come out of episode 8 is the fucking
It's all my friends giving me shit.
the Ryan Johnson memes, bro.
Yeah.
They're written and directed by Ryan Johnson. Oh, didn't he post that one? And did you see it? There's like a whole Twitter account or something that's like Ruin Johnson.
Oh yeah.
And he always does the Ryan Johnson memes. And then Ryan Johnson commented on it when he did the if 2020 was a movie. It says written.
Yeah.
And then he commented, "I'm really admire the dedication." Like, even
that's pretty good.
Man, you guys are good.
Yeah, that's
like,
good stuff.
He has a sense of humor about it. I think he knows that a lot of people hate his movie, but he doesn't care. You know.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad for him. I don't think he deserves a lot of the vitriol that he gets on social media, but I guess that's just social media in general.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know much about his filmography. I just really know Looper and this is the only ones I've seen. I loved Looper.
Looper's
I thought
cool,
it was like one of the coolest time travel type of movies I've seen. Really cool way they did it.
Do you see his first movie was pretty popular? I think it's one of Dave's favorite movies. It's called Brick. It has Joseph Gordon-Levitt. It's kind of a high school crime noir.
No, so he has a history with Gordon-Levitt then, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to check that out. And I haven't seen the Knives Out or whatever that one is.
That's really good. I'm gonna do a video on that when after the last thing I announced when I'm gonna do a little video thing on this channel. I think Knives Out is gonna be my first episode.
Right on. So yeah, completely disagree, but we're able to have a
but with love, yeah,
discussion without memes. So. Yeah,
at least we know where we're coming from. I think that's what's important. It was good to hear, because we've only talked about this movie kind of in passing and and saying one-liners that don't really expand on our thoughts. So it was good to sit down and actually flesh out some of these thoughts that we both have.
So I hope you guys I hope you guys enjoyed us talking about a movie. This is the first time we've done something like this. We hope to do some more movies. More movies that probably we both like more, aren't as divisive as this, because we have a pretty close taste in movies. I would think we have a lot of the franchises like the Terminators and things.
Yeah, we should do a Terminator, either a bad one or a good one.
Yeah,
whichever.
Yeah, worst Terminator and best Terminator. That'd be
Yeah.
best Terminator. That's a harder one to come up with.
Mm.
So, hope you guys enjoyed watching this, and we'll try to do some more film content. Of course, Brian's going to be doing some little videographies on some of his films, favorite films, and we'll touch on some more stuff. And hopefully, you let us know what you think about episode 8. You either like it or you hate it. I think I've never
Yeah.
heard someone that's just like indifferent about episode 8. Right?
Yeah, it's pretty weird, right? You either think it's
Yeah,
the best or the worst.
everybody's kind of indifferent about 7.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
I mean, what's to hate and what's to love?
Hmm.
But 8 is like boom, and 9 too. Some people really love 9.
Yeah, some people do. Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
9, I think, is visually fucking stunning.
It's
Like,
pretty. Yeah, there's some pretty cool imagery in that movie.
not in videography, but like awe and like set pieces. You know what I mean? Like effects. That's where that one really shines. But
It was weird. Sorry, I know we're going a little longer, but Rise of Skywalker was the first time I've experienced this, maybe ever. I mean, maybe I've experienced it in the past, and it's not. I can't come up with it, but can we spoilers for Rise of Skywalker? Turn it off now if you've made it this far. But at the end of Rise of Skywalker, Rey and Kylo kiss before he dies. The whole a packed theater, everyone groaned and like awkwardly laughed. It was really weird. Like everyone's like, "Oh, what's happening? What the fuck is this?"
it's bad and
It was
forced.
weird. Yeah.
It's like a
Anyways.
healing kiss. Anyways, yeah, that was fun debating that one. I don't have a timer on a recording, but I felt like it lasted a while. We didn't make it through all of didn't make it through all
We didn't make it through the whole movie.
It's still shorter than episode 8, everybody, so don't worry. All right, man. Well, that was fun. As always, this was Bryan versus Bryan. Last Jedi. Like I said, super controversial. One of us like it. One of us hate it. Well, I don't hate it. One of us like it. One of us don't like it. But that's all we got, man. So get on with Sunday. Go Hawks, huh?
Go Hawks, yeah.
Be a good one.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for watching, y'all. Laters.